Hello everyone, I'm Rishi and I'm going to be taking you through what is coming in the next couple of days to the United States. There is quite a bit to talk about, so I'm going to try to condense it as much as I can. This video is going to be split into two parts. One about the winter weather that is going to continue across the country, namely on the West Coast and then the East Coast, with focus being more on what's coming to the West Coast, as they have been getting hit very hard recently. The other part will be on the severe threat, as that is something that has been upticking lately and does need to be talked about. So, first off, Southern California, there is a blizzard continuing going into the Sierra Nevada mountains and even near LA. There's been a lot of snowfall already. Some elevations have seen upwards of 80 inches of snow since the beginning of this storm, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to end for the next day or so. It should start to taper off toward the afternoon and evening tonight, but then overnight is when it should finally start to clear out as the system finally moves inland and actually starts to bring some more stable weather to the area. There is also some heavy rain threat as well, as you can see in the bottom portion of this little graphic here, which comes from the Weather Prediction Center. The cities of Los Angeles and San Diego are in that slight risk for excessive rainfall, meaning that some flash flooding is possible. They're in the cities. And the marginal risk does extend almost all the way to Bakersfield, but it does include Lancaster. So if you are in the southern areas of California, you need to be watching out for both snow if you're in the higher elevations and for rain if you are down in the cities. So here's a look at what is currently ongoing in the United States. You can see we still have those blizzard warnings in effect for the Sierra Nevada and the coastline of California. That is highlighted in those bright reds. We also have some winter storm warnings, winter storm watches in effect for inland California, central Nevada, and even into northwestern Arizona. There's also a whole bunch of other winter advisories in effect for the Pacific coast, extending all the way to Canada. So this is a very extensive system, and it doesn't look like it's going to be ending for a little while, unfortunately. There is also a little bit of winter weather advisories in effect for West Virginia and Virginia, but that is not going to be the focus of this portion of the video. So here's the current weather setup. You can see that low pressure system of note there in the bottom left of the graphic, just off the coast of California at the moment. It is moving inland very slowly, but as it does so, it's still going to bring those heavy snow bands to the higher elevations, and it's also going to bring some rain to the lower elevations. There is some flash flooding possible, and there is a chance for a thunderstorm or two in the area as well. You can also see a whole cluster of low pressure areas there along a line extending from Oregon all the way down to Arizona. There is a very large swath of rain that is possible from Texas all the way up into the Carolinas. That is mediated by a whole bunch of fronts, namely a quasi-stationary one that is slowly moving northward as time progresses. So here is a weather model. This is the NAM, or the North American model. So I have this one set to go all the way from the beginning, which is 12Z, or about 5 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this morning. And it is running all the way through hour 81. So this covers pretty much the entirety of what this video is going to be talking about. However, I do have some other models I want to talk about. So you can actually see fairly clearly what's going on with this storm system. We're actually basically just watching one. It's spinning off the coast of California. It moves inland, moves across the Rockies into New Mexico, and then it explodes over Oklahoma, Texas, and Kansas as it moves toward the northeast. As it does so, it's going to bring an attendant severe threat as well as a snow threat to New England. So here's the official forecast for the next 3 days. This is the Winter Storm Severity Index, which basically is a way to quantify how heavy impacts are going to be from a winter storm. So anywhere where you see the light blues or where you can expect to see some sort of winter weather, but it's not really supposed to affect anything, all the way up to minor, moderate, major, and extreme impacts. If you live anywhere where there is major or extreme impacts, the disruptions are going to be pretty substantial. You may lose power, and it's probably best that you stay off the roads. Just hunker down, wait for things to pass, and you'll be okay. This is mostly the extreme area impacts are mostly confined to the Sierra Nevada, but as luck would have it, there are some locations in the northern part of California that will still have some of those extreme impacts. Uh, the suburbs of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas may also see some snow, but for the most part, it should just be rain there. There is also some impacts expected in the day 3 forecast area for the Northeast, as the same system that we're talking about from California makes its way across the United States. So here's a little zoomed in view. So you can see here the city of Ukiah is pretty much surrounded by winter impacts, which then extends up north toward Eureka and Redding. Actually, kind of curls around Redding as the mountain range starts to get into effect. Then the major impacts snake between Chico and Susanville, all the way down to the South Lake Tahoe, getting close to Reno, Nevada, and moving all the way down past Sacramento, Bishop, and Fresno. So again, these are where the extreme impacts are, but luckily these should be confined mainly to the mountains and maybe a little bit on the eastern side of the mountain range as well. For the most part, that is where the winter effects will be confined. And here you can see the official snowfall forecast coming from the National Weather Service. There is already been, like I said earlier, about 80 inches in some of the higher elevations. There is about another 30 to 40 possible in some areas, but it should be moving out of the area soon. As it moves out of the western portion of the country, the snowfall will basically cease. There may still be some snow showers on the northern side of the low, but once it gets into New England, that's where it's going to start producing more snow again. So it'll kind of come in 3 stages. Today, it'll be mostly snow for the western half of the country. Tomorrow, it'll be severe in the center. And then on Sunday, or rather Monday, we will get the snow in the New England area. So these are the major areas of winter warning levels. So the most extreme one is the blizzard warning. You have about 12 to 36 hours to prepare, or usually it is going to occur over the next 12 to 36 hours. It is extremely risky to go travel, and it is highly recommended that you do not. You stay indoors, you do not go outside, as the winds are going to be brutal, as well as the amount of snow falling or blowing around the ground. That's going to make it very difficult to see if you have to travel for any reason whatsoever, so it is best to stay inside. A winter storm warning is it's basically a lesser blizzard warning. There's going to be a lot of snow, possibly some strong winds, but it's not going to be as extreme as it could be. That being said, it is still going to cause a lot of travel problems, and you should probably stay off the roads. For a winter weather advisory, that is the lowest level of a winter warning type that you can get, but it is still recommended that you limit travel as much as possible. It is going to occur within the next 12 to 36 hours, and once it starts, you should probably stay off the roads to allow crews to be able to clear them a lot easier. So, but now we get to the reason why you're probably watching this video, the severe weather. There is a very good chance for a damaging wind event to occur over the southern Great Plains, especially in the area of Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle, extending all the way into Missouri. There is a moderate risk, a wind-driven one, where there's going to be the potential for winds in excess of hurricane force to occur as a very rapidly moving system, again, the same one that's over California right now, moves through. All threats will be possible, but wind is definitely going to be the major one. So here's the official forecast. You can see that moderate risk encircled down in southwestern Oklahoma, with the enhanced going from the Texas Panhandle upwards into far southwestern Missouri, including some portions of Kansas and the extreme tip of Arkansas there in the northwest. The tornado risk isn't going to be very big. It's only going to be 5% at most at this point, but that could increase as time goes on, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. The hail risk is also going to be something to watch out for, but it's not supposed to be a very big one. Again, the main reason why this is a moderate risk is because of that strong wind potential. So, storms will initially fire in the Texas Panhandle area. They may be supercells capable of all threats, including, as the SVC quotes, a strong tornado or two. So it does a little contradictory why they say that, and yet they don't have a significant tornado potential. But that's their words, and we're going to stick by them for this time. Any supercells that do develop will very quickly grow into a line that will then race across Oklahoma. This line is going to be the primary threat. That's why we have this 45% significant wind risk. Within the line, all threats will be possible, strong winds being the main concern, given the extreme shear being forecast in excess of 500 meters square per second squared. And in some cases, it could even exceed 750, which is absolutely insane. For context, if this were a mainly supercell event, the shear alone would be enough to drive a significant tornado potential. But because this is going to be a line, the tornado threat is going to be dampened quite a bit. With most of the shear being confined to the lower levels, it's going to really drive the wind threat up the roof. So here is the HRRR as it ran about 6 hours ago. So this is a little outdated, but it is still pretty applicable. You can see that storm system move in from the coast of California. It starts to move eastward over Arizona, and then that line absolutely explodes as soon as it reaches the panhandle. You can see initially there's a couple little supercells there, but they very quickly grow into that line that then absolutely smashes through Oklahoma. It then reaches the Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky area, where there is light risk in place for tomorrow, as you can see in this model here. This is also the NAM, as I showed earlier, but this one is going to show just what the reflectivity may look like, what you may see on radar. And this is a little lower resolution than the HRRR, unfortunately, so we can't see exactly what's going to happen. But as it moves into the area, it's definitely going to still be quite a potent risk as time progresses. So if you're in Oklahoma, especially, you need to be prepared for a high wind risk. But anywhere to the northeast of Oklahoma, you also need to be watching this closely as you are under a slight risk. So we are expecting there to be thunderstorm watches and thunderstorm warnings thrown a lot tomorrow. There may be a tornado watch, but we don't think it's going to be a terribly big probability. We're mostly going to get severe thunderstorm watches. If you're under a severe thunderstorm watch, that means severe thunderstorms are possible. You need to be prepared. Don't be scared. Just be prepared. So if you start seeing storms coming across the horizon, or you start hearing warnings come over your phone, or whatever weather warning system you have in place, you need to seek shelter. That is, just be inside. If it is going to be a considerable thunderstorm, then you need to get into a sturdier shelter. That is when you start getting thunderstorm warnings. Severe thunderstorm warnings are in place when it is happening or about to happen. So the criteria are 60-mile-an-hour winds, which is enough to do damage to mobile homes, by the way, and or 3/4-inch hail. If the hail exceeds, I believe it is 2 inches, then it gets the considerable tag. And the same thing happens if the winds exceed 80 miles per hour. Those are destructive thunderstorms. Those will do severe damage to anything outside, including livestock, animals, cars, mobile homes, and yes, humans. It doesn't matter what kind of protection you're wearing, you will be hurt if you are caught outside in one of those storms. So it is very important that if you get a severe thunderstorm warning tomorrow, that you seek shelter immediately, as the high winds will be driving possibly some debris very hard in your direction. So, as these thunderstorms are getting ready to go, the best things to do are to go outside today, pick up any loose items, trim any trees, and make sure that anything that can be brought inside is brought inside, as anything that is unsecured will become potential to become a projectile. Once tomorrow rolls around, get everybody inside as soon as you have any sort of inkling that there might be some thunder or lightning nearby, especially if you see lightning. If you can see lightning, you're too close. And if you can hear thunder, you are definitely too close. Basically, the rule is, after the last sign of thunder, wait 30 minutes. If you don't hear any thunder or lightning, then you are clear to go outside. If not, you restart the timer for another 30 minutes. It's a very simple rule, and it'll definitely work for this case, as these storms will move very quickly, And by the time 30 minutes pass, these storms probably will be about 30 miles away from you. So you won't really have too much of a risk of getting struck by lightning at that point. Now, there is the risk for tornadoes, however. So you do need to have ways to receive warnings for these, especially in the beginning part of the event and as it progresses. So the beginning part of the event, especially because of the supercells that'll develop at first. So what you need to do, you need to make sure that you know where a safe space is. These are interior rooms and buildings, whether they be in a home, a single-story home, or a basement, especially if you have a basement. Just make sure that you have as few windows around as possible, because flying glass is a very easy way to get yourself injured. Especially if they're jagged edges, they could very easily cut you, and if they get into your neck and chest, then that could lead to some very life-threatening situations for you. So if you don't have a basement, interior room is the next best thing, or interior hallway if that's not available. If you're in a mobile home, you don't want to be in the mobile home. Realistically, it's actually safer to be outside in a ditch with laying face down than to be in the mobile home, because if a tornado hits your mobile home will be shredded. And because mobile homes aren't really made with good materials to withstand these kinds of things, you'll be caked in your mobile home in a weak tornado, or you'll be carried away with your mobile home in a stronger tornado. So it's very important that you get out of your mobile home and you find more decent shelter. If you're closer to a building, get to that building. If you don't, get in a ditch. And same goes for a car. So make sure you know when or where your closest shelter is and how quickly you can get to it. Make sure that you can get to it preferably within a couple minutes. Have all your important documents with you if you can. If they are not in an easily accessible location, don't worry about it. Your life is more important. Make sure that all of your neighbors have ways to receive warnings, as well as yourself. That way, if everybody has one communal shelter to go to, you all can get there as fast as you can. Remember, tornadoes, they can spin up very quickly, they can dissipate very quickly. So as soon as you get that warning, you need to be in your shelter. Do not wait. Do not wait to see the tornado, as these storms will be probably moving so fast that by the time you get the warning and you go outside to look, then you might already be too late. The storm might be on top of you. So please make sure that you are in your safe space as soon as you get that warning. So that's all I have for you today. I do hope that everybody out there will stay safe in California. Make sure that you are bundled up, you're staying warm, and if you are in the mountains, just make sure that you wait for these blizzard conditions to pass before you do anything fun outside. If you are in the Great Plains or in the Mid-Atlantic states, or not the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio River Valley, you need to make sure that you are watching for these storms as they roll through for the next couple of days. In New England, you have about 3 days before the storms reach you and start dropping some snow. With that being said, we do have a Discord. The link is down below if you want to join us, where you can share your stories, share your thoughts, meet the team, and also get up-to-date information as it comes out. Once again, I've been Rishiko, or Rishi, as you may call me, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.